Hey, I'm pro saxophonist Jamie Anderson. You're watching Get Your Sax Together. On today's fun show, we're going to go through my 5 most bonkers, crazy, insane sax solos of all time. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get straight into it. Okay, coming in at number 5, it's a track called Last Friday Night, T.G.I.F, from 2011 by Katy Perry. Yes, it's a full-on pop solo. The saxophonist is the one and only Lenny Pickett, who we had as a guest in the Inner Circle membership. And it's from the album Teenage Dream. Now, this this is so bonkers, partly because of how screamy and high it is, and partly because of Max Martin's production. It's all kind of cut up and stuttery, and at the end of it, during Lenny Pickett's trademark shrieking altissimo, there's even a little bit of auto-tune, which makes it sound like that kind of R&B sound. Let's check it out. That's insane, that bit at the end. It actually sounds really good with auto-tune. I love that. And you can see below me there, I've got the BONKERS-O-METER, which is just how bonkers these solos are on a scale of 0 to 100. And this solo comes in at a whopping 50 out of 100 on the BONKERS-O-METER. Let's move on to number 4. Coming in at number 4 in my top 5 bonkers solos is the track Joyous by the band Pleasure from 1977. Absolutely awesome track. One of my favourite tracks of all time. It's got this incredible horn line later on, but that's a whole nother story. This is from their album Joyous, and the sax player is the original saxophonist from Pleasure called Dennis Springer. He's a phenomenal jazz player and funk saxophonist. It's just so great. However, this solo at the beginning of Pleasure is at the beginning of Joyous rather, is absolutely bonkers, you know, for a sort of soul funk record. Check this out. Oh, yes. And that is why this solo gets 75 on the BONKERS-O-METER, because it is absolutely crazy. For a funk record... One of the greatest things about it is, in between all that kind of like shrieking tenor stuff, there's some really wicked, funky sax lines in there. So, nice one, Dennis. That is absolutely epic solo. Gets 75 on the BONKERS-O-METER. Let's move on. Hey, just before we move on real quick, if you want something awesome for absolutely nothing, go and check out my free Saxophone Success Masterclass. It's got loads of tips to help you with your practice, with your sound, with your improvising, and who knows, you can even up your own BONKERS-O-METER score. So click the link in the description or use the URL that you can see there. It's my free gift to you, and enjoy the Saxophone Success Masterclass. It's all yours. Let's move on to number 3. Okay, coming in at number 3, it's a track that you're probably very familiar with. Now, sometimes you just take it for granted that there's a really bonkers, crazy sax solo in a song that you're already familiar with. I'm sure we all know this track, which is Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick by Dury and the Blockheads from 1978. From his Sex and Drug and Rock and Roll album. This is played by Davey Payne. Initially on tenor, and then on tenor and alto, but I'll tell you about that in a sec. Yeah, so this is one of these tracks that you're probably familiar with, and you just never really thought, wow, that is a bonkers sax solo, and it's never really crossed my mind before. Now, tipping it into the 87 score on the BONKERS-O-METER is the fact that after the main crazy solo, he goes into this section where he plays tenor and alto sax at once at the same time. Both saxes in his mouth at once, like Raschèr, Roland Kirk sort of vibe. So let's check it out.
Hit me! Hit me!
Yes, that is absolutely bonkers. For such a massive selling hit single, how could you possibly have such bonkers sax in there? That is total craziness. Respect to Davey Payne, who's also from Essex, Clacton-on-Sea. Yes, big up Essex. Okay, moving on now to my second pick for bonkers sax solos. The second most bonkers sax solo on my list is Robert McClough playing tenor with James Brown on Superbad Parts 1 and 2, which is from 1970. This was released as a 3-part single, and it was actually the single after Sex Machine. So, absolutely classic single. Now, during this solo, there's actually 2 solos. I'm going to play the second one. The first solo is pretty similar to the second one. This is just pure, squeaky gate, fire in a pet shop tenor, which is remarkable for a funk record. It's kind of like it's like the Joyous one from earlier, but even more so. And the best bit of this is when, just as he starts getting into it, James Brown shouts out at him, "Robert, blow me some train, brother." So he's obviously, well aware of, the whole Coltrane thing and free jazz, and he wants it in the track. So let's check out this.
Come on! Come on, Robin! Come on, brother! Come on, Robin! Blow me some train, brother!
Blow me some train, brother.
Blow me some train, brother! Hey! Give me!
In this whole solo, there's actually, I don't think he plays one single normal note, which is why it gets 93 on the Bonkers-O-METER, because it's completely bonkers. There's only one thing I find more bonkers than this, and you'll have to wait to see what that is in just a sec. Let's finish off the solo.
Give me! Give me! Give me! Is that a Superbad? A Superbad, brother?
And on it goes. It's not a single note, which is so different from all those classic Maceo solos. I absolutely love it. Okay, we're going to move on to my most bonkers sax solo of all time. But just before we get there, I've got a few honorary mentions, a few also rans. Okay, the first honorary mention goes to Wild Bill Moore's very short but very bonkers solo on the track Right On from Marvin's classic What's Going On album from 1971. It gets 30 on the Bonkers-O-METER just because it's so barky and weird. Now, the double weird thing about it is there's already a sax solo beneath it, like a nice kind of melodic, smooth solo. And then Wild Bill Moore steams in with this really barky, crazy solo on top. It's literally only a few notes, and you can hear the other sax solo beneath it, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Why is that solo there? It's absolutely mad. It's literally only 8 notes. He must have, there must have just been like, hey, Bill, let's make this a bit more gritty, shall we? Throw in 8 notes of your special growly sound on top of this one. Okay, next honorary mention. Okay, a couple of these honorary mentions are from players who are on the kind of self-taught saxophone spectrum, because that always results in pretty bonkers solos. This one is 35 on the BONKERS-O-METER. It's the track Water Nugget Enemy by Fela Kuti, the Nigerian artist, absolutely fantastic singer, activist, and saxophonist. This is from his album from 1975, Expensive. And this is bonkers in a different way. It's not like, you know, the squeaky gate kind of free jazz bonkers. It's just bonkers because of his sound and some of the notes he chooses and that kind of thing. Let's have a little listen to Fela for a minute. Very unorthodox, very unique. It's literally nobody else improvises like Fela Kuti. It's so unique. It's so mad. That's why it gets 35 on the BONKERS-O-METER. Next honorary mention isn't really a sax solo as such. It's a sax quartet, which is XAS for Saxophone Quartet from 2007 by Iannis Xenakis from the album Music for Saxophone Quartet. And this is the Raschèr Saxophone Quartet. Now, this is bonkers in a completely different way. It's still bonkers saxophone. It gets 46 on the BONKERS-O-METER score. But, of course, this is a completely notated piece, which makes it even more mad. Absolutely mad. All right, on to our final honorary mention, and then I'll reveal my most bonkers sax solo of all time. Okay, this one very nearly made it into the final 5, but just at 49 on the BONKERS-O-METER, just missed the cut. It's the song TVC 15 by David Bowie from his live tour in 1990, his Sound+Vision tour from 1990. David Bowie himself on alto saxophone. And he's another one of these kind of self-taught saxophonists, which is guaranteed to create an absolutely bonkers solo. This is not the greatest sound quality because it's just a kind of live recording thing, but check out this for craziness. Yes, David Bowie rocking the bonkers saxophone there on TVC 15 from 1990. Okay, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's reveal what is the number 1 most bonkers sax solo of all time. And it is Pharaoh Saunders' solo on by John Coltrane, recorded in 1965 and released in 1968. John Coltrane himself even told producer Bob Thiele that he never wanted this this recording to be released. This takes everything that Coltrane did in the later period of his recording career and makes it seem like Mary Poppins. This is absolutely insane. It starts with this crazy like chant thing over some bells.
Herbs of healing and food, the mantram, the clarified butter.
The clarified butter, that's my favourite bit. Okay, this is heavy, heavy, heavy. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, Coltrane himself does what in any other circumstance would rank as the most bonkers solo. And that in itself would be like 99 on the Bonkers-O-METER. But Pharaoh Saunders, if you can believe this, takes it one more notch, more bonkers. I could keep going. Now, if that's not the most bonkers sax solo of all time, I do not know what is. That is absolutely insane. So I hope you enjoyed the rundown of my most bonkers sax solos of all time. The list is absolutely not exhaustive. In fact, I would love you to go down into the comments and tell me what your most bonkers, crazy, insane sax solo of all time is. It can be any genre you like. So let's get the debate going. It's quite fun. Like I mentioned earlier, go and check out my free Saxophone Success Masterclass, which is an awesome, I think it's like, might be an hour or something. It's a long thing. And there's loads of awesome information in there to help you become a better saxophonist and maybe even get yourself on that bonkers spectrum next time you take a solo. If you've bought me a coffee, thank you so much. You're absolutely awesome. And as always, there'll be a fantastic bonus video inside the Inner Circle membership. The Inner Circle membership is the place to be if you love saxophone and you want to hang out and get daily access to me with Q&As. In the community, literally every single day is your only way of getting to me, really, these days. So go and check out the Inner Circle. There's a free 7-day trial. You're gonna love it. Okay, until next time, make sure you practice hard, practice smart, and enjoy your music. Take it easy. This takes anything you thought John Coltrane was, any of his later kind of